Welcome back for part 2 of how to make a Don Julio 1942 bottle. In part 1, we went through how to create all of those pieces and parts in Illustrator, so if you're finding this one, go back to part 1, start there. But if you're ready to keep going, let's jump in. Alright, now I have a new dimension file, and what I do every time when I start a new canvas is I always go to 100% zoom at the top here. And you can see that the canvas size is pretty small, and I like a nice high-res render, so I'll always just take these corners, I'll make it like around 2000 pixels wide, and then I'll also come to resolution and I'll type in 300. So I've just put all of my object files here so they're easy to drag and drop in. So I'll start with the bottle because I think that that's the centerpiece, that's the thing that I want to be the most in focus. So I will come here and place it down, kind of position it. I also like to use this move to ground feature to click, and it puts it on the base plane. I also like to move around my canvas so that the horizon line is in the background, and I can really square up these lines so that I know what is centered. So I'll just eyeball it, get things set up the way that I like it. Amazing. All right, so now I'll drag in the cap because I think that's the next most important thing. And sometimes it brings in the name, sometimes it doesn't. So I'll name this one cap. This is bottle. And if I select both of these layers and come to the align panel, it gives me these nice little toggles that I can go click and click, align center. And I can even align top, but I'll have to manually adjust that. Dragging it back to the center, selecting just the cap and raising it up. Okay, and then I think I'll go with the label next. Here's label strip, and I'm going to place that, dragging it up and centering it so that it's in the right spot. And I also like to use these camera bookmarks. I'll create a new camera view called front so that it brings me back to what I know to be the front of my design, because I'm going to need to rotate around so I can get a better view and make sure that this label looks like it's actually a label. It's actually stuck to my bottle. So I'll have to zoom in, I'll have to use my tools over here to kind of move around, and it might even help to apply some substances at this time. All right, so if we go back to our reference image, it looks like this, it's covered in a plastic film, which we could also add, but I'm just gonna go with that it is a matte black. So I'll just drag matte onto the cap, and I'll come here to the color panel and I'll bring it all the way down to black. And that'll help me see the label positioning on here. And since I'm only doing a front label and I only have the front view, I can only work with what I know. So I'll just keep dragging this until it looks like it's in the right position. All right. And to get back to my front, I can just click camera bookmark front. Now I need to pick a good color for this glass. I'll come into my eyedropper here and I'll just click on one of these colors. I'm going to pick like a medium color. In Dimension, when you're working with glass especially, you're going to have to kind of play with the lighting and how you want those colors to look. So I'm going to drag glass onto my bottle here, and you can see that there it is. And I'm going to take that hex value I copied from Illustrator and paste it right there. Now let's see how this looks with my render preview, which is this button here. Ooh, that's really saturated. That's not really what I'm going for. So now I'm going to move this around. I can also, at this stage, apply some lighting. It looks like there's a little bit of backlighting and front lighting so that there's those dark shadows on the side. So I can scroll down. Let me turn off my render preview for now because it's making my laptop slow. And I can choose 3-point light and now see how the color is looking. You see how the color looks totally different? And I'm going to play with those properties a little bit. So you can add a little bit of roughness, which will make it not so clear. I can actually come to the translucence and I can choose like density and translucence, index of refraction. So I'm actually liking how that looks. If I go back, it's still a little more yellow than it is orange. So let's see how this is gonna look. I still need to finish this label part. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on matte and I'm just going to drag it there. And I will choose the color, which is black. Nice. And let me drag in label emblem. And like I said, I'm going to need to move some things around to get it positioned. Let me put matte on this emblem because it's lost in space. So all I'm doing is just positioning these, just eyeballing it based on what I can see in the reference image. I'm going to bring down to there. And I need that little label bottom part. All right. And like I said, I'm going to tuck it behind that circle. Rename these things. I'm going to add a slight angle to this so that it sits a little bit more flush against the bottle like it's a real sticker, and that'll help this triangle piece when I tuck it beneath. Alrighty. I'm gonna give a little rotation to that too. Come back. Alright, I'm gonna drag matte so that it matches and also choose black. Alright, so now if we come back to our front view, here we go. We can see we've got the bottle color, we've got that label going, and I will add the box. So the box, I'm going to rotate to 120 degrees and I'm going to click to bottom. It was kind of a nice material, right? Like it's this very textured paper. So let me see what I can find that's similar to that. And I'm just kind of playing with materials until I see one that looks like that paper. This one is felt. What if oh, felt might be good. All right, let's see if I just make it really small. It'll give us that like texture that we're looking for. While I'm here, I'm also going to take my eyedropper and I'm going to select that brown color so that I can copy that in over here, so that I know when I'm playing with lighting and changing the colors that it's going to look realistic. Okay, I think I'm into that. I might make it a little bit darker and then bring it closer to my bottle here so that they overlap. I'm going to name this box front, and then I'm going to name this one box back. And move that one back a little bit. And now it's time to drag in that box inner and rotate to 120 degrees and position it in the middle here. And I can also change the scale of things after the fact. So if I decided like that 98% that I transformed it to was too small, I can actually come in here with precision and say like 5.94 centimeters. Okay, 5.96 centimeters. Nice, that's looking better. And then I'll also come here and grab that gold. I'm gonna apply that felt texture to that box too. And let me change the color. The bottle isn't quite as translucent as I want, so let me go back there and tweak that a little bit. All right, and then I can also go back and play with the lighting too to make things more dramatic. So if I come to my key light and I rotate things around, let me go to my backlight actually, because I feel like it was really backlit and that's what makes those shadows stand out. So I can bring the height down, bring the intensity up, and see how that changes how the light's reflecting in there. I think what I'm going to have to do is duplicate this bottle. This will help build those shadows that I see reflecting, because normally when I make glass, I like to have an inside and an outside. And I'm going to make this like 4.7 by 4.7. Oh, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the label and I'm going to group that into one piece. So I'm going to name that label. And I'm going to do the same thing with this box over here. I'm going to take that and I'm going to group it together, box, so that you can see that if I were to move things around, it would move it together. And that's exactly what I want. So with the bottle, I'm just trying to recreate that shadow, that very distinct shadow in there. Yeah, that's working. So let me grab these two and just center and center them. Yeah, I super am loving that. All right, so we'll name this bottle Inner. And I'm even going to take the height down a little bit and give it more of a base. So I'm going to go to like 20.5 centimeters. And then bring it up. And then I might even take down the color a little bit so it's just somewhat less saturated. Okay, now that it's less saturated, let's check it out. All right, all that's left is to apply the graphics. All right, so I found this logo for Don Julio 1942. It's a little bit different than the one on the box, but I'm just going to show you the method for how to create each of these pieces and parts, and you can go for it, go crazy. I'm running out of time. So here we go. I'm just using image trace to make sure that I'm making this. You can play with the threshold more or less, but once you get the settings how you like, click expand. So click on the white background, click same, fill color, because you want to select everything that's white, and then delete. And now I have this grouped image. I'm going to ungroup it because on the box there's Don Julio in 1942, and that's in gold. So I'll just select that and come over here and click on that gold and group that together. And then on this, I'll group this graphic together as well. And I'll go to File, Export Selection, and click Box Label Top. And then with this one, since I want it to be gold and embossed a little bit, I'm actually going to come to 3D Materials. I'm going to click Extrude, and I'm going to select really thin, like 0.01, but I am going to bevel it, and we'll choose Round, and scroll down, click Export 3D Object, and this is Box Label Gold. I'm actually going to export these separately because I need this Don Julio to be an OBJ file that I'll export. And then I'll export the label here as a PNG. And now I'm going to pop back into Dimension, drag and drop in Don Julio. I'm going to line it up, and obviously it's way too big, so I need to size it down. All right, now I'm going to keep placing this where it needs to go. And I'll select this color, this like gold color, copy the hex value, come back to Adobe Dimension, and I will drag let's try clean gold on here, on everything. Nice. And then when I come to this panel, I should be able to paste in this hex value. And I'm going to bring up the roughness a lot because it's not very shiny, but it is still metallic. And then with the other graphic that's a PNG, I can come in and just place that directly on the box and resize it. All right, and I'm going to continue creating that out, but that's your basic process for how to add different decals. Again, to add 3D, you kind of treat it a little bit differently than when you place a PNG on, but yeah, I'll show you the final look now. And that is how it's done. I am really proud of this one. It was a big challenge, so thank you again, Javier Chapo, for that challenge. Subscribe to my channel if you want to get updates on when I post new videos. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment below telling me what video you want to see next. I do have a list going. It's getting longer, but I will get to all of them, I promise. Until next time, guys.